Have you ever asked yourself the question, why can't I change the way I think? Or maybe you just struggle with doing the same thing over and over again. Well, you're not alone. Today, I'm going to share with you what I've discovered in my sound sessions and what a brain specialist said to confirm exactly what I figured out. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to share with you today some of the things I have discovered in my sound sessions about how we are in a continual state of paralysis, maybe. We're just not moving forward in what we're designed to do. We're not moving forward for change. We're not moving forward into our destiny. We're not seeing the dreams that we have take place. And we're definitely not in a place where we're seeing habits die. Things that we want to stop doing, stop. So here's what I'm going to share with you, a little experience that I had when I was doing my sound sessions. Years ago, I had a vivid dream by God at night while I was sleeping, and He was showing me how to use a tuning fork to heal the body, soul, and spirit. So our bodies happen in the spirit just like they happen in the natural. So let me explain. We eat, we process, we disregard. Right? We eat, we process, we poop, in essence, is what I'm saying. We have to do the same things emotionally. Things come at us, we process, we keep the nutrients, we keep the things that will be good for us. They'll help us get better, they'll help us learn, they'll help us grow, but we have to learn to release the things that don't. So when it comes to our thinking, we have not just one brain, our mind. We have three brains. We have our mind, we have our heart, which is what we feel, and we have our gut, which is what we believe. And the thing that I started to discover in my sound sessions was I was identifying a frequency, or what I would say would be a block of flow. Okay, so when I was trying to use the frequency to bring clarity to what was happening in the upper part of the body, I was coming across the same thing, different people, but the same kind of pattern, the same process. And what I realized, something was going on. There was something in the way that people think that was fueling their gut. It was fueling their stomach. So it was kind of like we're just living in this upper torso of our body. And then what I noticed was the feet weren't moving at all. In this process, it's like the sound just was being cut off. And so what I discovered in that process, the only way that I could, because again, I'm a certified life coach. I'm not a doctor. I don't know any of this. I am literally following what God is telling me to do. And so what, in my understanding, I realized was happening was something was happening in the upper part of the body. A thought was wrong. A thought was based in fear, and it was fueling the stomach. So now what I started to realize, the danger in that is that we have thoughts, we have ways that we see things, we have beliefs, we have things that we think on a regular basis. And those things become what drive us. Those things were becoming our gut instincts, say. So just to keep a very clear example, you could be a woman who thinks you have good discernment or thinks you have good intuition about men and who should be in your life. And so what has happened is possibly what the things that took place in your past are actually what are fueling your future. So somewhere along the line, if you had bad experiences with men and you realize you can't trust men, and that could have started when you were little and it could be your father. But regardless, if you have a thought that you have to protect yourself against men, you cannot trust men, and that becomes what you think is your good instinct. You think that's your good way of doing things, and you're just really wise and smart. Might not be the case. So if you have a desire for a relationship, if you have a desire for a healthy marriage, but you can't get it, and you're trapped in not knowing why, it very well could be that the thought that you have that you think is good is actually rooted in fear. It's what a lot of people would call a fear-based thought. It's not a powerful thought. It's not a good thought. And it becomes what fuels you. So a lot of us have habits and struggles, possibly with our eating habits. So we may have a thought, if I don't get this under control, if I don't change the way I'm doing this, if I don't get thin, nobody will love me. If I don't get thin, my parents won't approve me. Whatever's the real thought. See, when that comes down into the gut, there's something toxic about it. And it does not go well. It does not create the change that you think it will create. Does that make sense? So all of this thought that you have about how you have to change and you have to get better, what you're doing is giving power to that thing that you're trying to forget about, that thing that you wish you could just leave behind you. You're actually fueling it. You're giving it more room to grow. So I actually had the opportunity to sit while a family was getting a report about their child who had a brain tumor. And the family was very distraught because this child had advanced, they thought, in the tumor because she stopped walking. She became paralyzed. So the first response was to actually think that this tumor had gotten so large that she lost the use of her legs. When in turn, when the brain specialist came into the room, what she said was, this is not a direct result of the brain tumor. She said, let me explain to you what's happening because you can't see it. Okay, so tune in on me. Okay, focus in on what I'm saying. What's true in the natural is true in the spiritual. And that's what we have to remember here. What this doctor said was this exact thing. She said, you can't see it, but we have a port draining toxic spinal fluid from her brain down through a port into her stomach. And she said, what's really happening is her body's not releasing that toxin that we're putting into her belly. And so she's getting backed up, and that pressure is causing her legs not to move. If you want to know why you feel pinned in habits, why you can't change the way that you think, you have to go deeper. You have to understand there's something happening that you cannot see. We have toxic thoughts that are dropping into our stomach. And because we're not releasing them, I call that emotionally pooping, because we are not emotionally pooping out this trauma, this lie, this fear-based thought, we're getting full of crap. Okay, even though we think we're protecting ourselves and we've gained wisdom and we're this and we're that, we really have gotten full of crap. And that's putting pressure on us in the natural. It did for this little girl, and it's doing the same thing for you today if you feel stuck. What's happening is you need an emotional cleanse. So, Terry, what do I do with that? Look, you know that I'm a certified life coach and all of my contact information is below. I would love to walk you through this process. I would love to help you discover this process. I do sound sessions via Zoom, and subscribe to this channel. Stay connected to every revelation God is giving me about how He wants to use sound to heal our body, soul, and spirit.